This video is brought to you by the Dead. Welcome, dear viewer. Imagine for a second a person sitting behind their computer. A person that only just found the wondrous world of Warcraft. A person that is getting the hang of a game rather new to them in an unforgiving setting. The hardcore realms, where death means deleting your character permanently. Now that's a lot of pressure all at once. And the biggest risk out there has this person putting their life in the hands of others. Group content. Not even mentioning the crippling social anxiety that comes with it all. Am I describing you, dear viewer? Then rest assured, you clicked the right video. We will be visiting Ragefire Chasm, the introductory dungeon. Watch along with the point of view of a freshly formed guild venturing into their own dungeon. This is We Are Forsaken, a freshly formed Racelocked guild on the EU server of Soulseeker. This means that they are limiting themselves to only playing with undead self-found characters. For them, this limits their available classes. No shamans or druids for this guild. For our purposes, this also makes the basics a little easier. When we're going to be talking about a healer, we always mean a priest. When talking about a tank, we always mean a warrior. Yes, I'm also ignoring you warlocks and your void walkers, because that's all the undead have access to in these roles. Now let's start with the basics of a group. In general, you make a 5-man group for a dungeon. This task, in and of itself, can be daunting because it requires a little socializing. We at We Are Forsaken understand this pressure. Therefore, you can usually leave this step to someone willing to chat to people. You can leave this to someone else. But if you are that charismatic person, there are tools available that will help you. The Group Finder helps other people see your group and what you're making the group for. You can also put yourself forwards in there and have groups invite you instead. Now, the easiest group composition to run a dungeon with would be, first, a tank. Someone whose job it is to keep things hitting him or her specifically. Second, a healer. Someone whose job it is to heal the group and keep you actually moving. And third, fourth, and fifth, the damage. People whose job it is to kill things, because if you're not killing things, well, the dungeon will never end. The healer will eventually run out of mana, and everyone will die. Meet our crew for today. First off, Barrow, the tank for today, and your host for this video. I am a warrior, and will gladly put my face between you and your enemies. I enjoy tanking because it gives me a sense of control that I am missing in my real life. Eldreon, a mage damage dealer. Although he was almost half an hour late, he was greatly appreciated in this run. His long-range spells deal a good amount of damage, and his crowd control abilities also help mitigate incoming damage. Why take damage when you can freeze someone in place and run away while throwing explosions at them? His heir is Kripke, a warrior damage dealer. Now at the early levels, there's little difference between a warrior tank and a damage dealer, as you can see with our friend Kripke here. Often pulling the enemies away from the tank due to their raw aggression and damage, Kripke was a vital part of making things die faster and testing our healers' multitasking while we're at it. Next to her we have Steve, another warrior damage dealer. Unlucky in loot rolls, but excellent in hitting stuff. Steve was another great addition to the group. And finally, J. Hello, a priest healer. J. Hello is not a part of We Are Forsaken. Their help was greatly appreciated, as our highest level priest at the time was level 9. J. Hello was kind enough to join our guild group to heal us through our first guild dungeon run. Her abilities were conserving her mana when possible, so we can keep a smooth run going throughout the entire dungeon, and keeping an eye on cheeky damage dealer warriors taking enemies away from the tank warrior. Thanks again, J. Hello. Stay alive out there. Oh, well, moving, I guess. Alive is a little fluid. Dungeons revolve around mutual trust. You are each trusting that everyone will do their respective job in order to make it out alive together. Therefore, it is always appreciated to do a little bit of prep. For entering Rage Fire Chasm, just watching this video on a second monitor with the attention span of a modern day iPad kid, that should suffice. It's not that hard a dungeon. Number 1 that you should be prepping is understanding the basics of your role. First off, the damage dealers. You should be dealing damage. It's that simple. Know what moves you have and how they deal damage. That's all you really need to read up on. You want extra credit bonus points? Helping reduce the damage the group takes is a great way to make friends that will want to group with you in the long run. Some classes can interrupt spells, others can put enemies out of action for a while. We call this crowd control. It's greatly appreciated and people will love you for it. It's also nice to remember, you are competing with the tank for the enemy's attention. If you're hitting an enemy more than the tank, then that enemy might take offense to that and feel like hitting you back. If the healer only needs to have their attention on the tank's health bar, they're safe to watch those American streamers and their borderline adult content on their second monitor during the dungeon.
Here, I'll get the backside.
Alright. Why are you sniffing it, lad?
Best rule of thumb is to keep an eye on which enemy the tank is targeting. Their abilities grab more attention, so that should be the safe enemy to keep hitting with as much as you can. Good tanks also mark enemies with a skull icon if they want you to focus on that particular enemy. This helps kill that enemy faster. Dead enemies deal less damage, so it's better to kill them one at a time than to spread out your damage. Next up, you're a healer. Your main role is to keep an eye on your mana and keep everybody up. The healer is the safest role in the dungeon. You can usually be a couple levels under the rest of the party because you're the furthest away from getting hit. Your main priority is keeping people alive and conserving your mana for the moments where it's needed. The best way to do that is to put your lower ranked healing spells on your spell bar as well. You waste a lot of mana going for your highest ranked healing spell every time when the party member you're healing hasn't taken that much damage yet. This is called overheal. Also, if you're low on mana, have a drink and let the party know. Not every tank is going to keep an eye on your mana bar at all times. Yelling something in chat like meaning out of mana, or drinks usually does the trick. Take all the time you need. People would rather wait 10 seconds than go all the way back to Brill. Healer extra credit bonus points. Now there's a mechanic between a warrior and a priest that's nice to be aware of early on. A warrior has to generate a resource called rage in order to use most of their abilities. They gain this from both hitting things very hard and getting hit themselves. Specifically, losing health when getting hit does the trick. The priest has a very good damage reduction skill power called Power Word Shield. However, being hit on the shield makes it so the hits don't give the warrior rage anymore. Consistently shielding the tank can start leading them to losing control of the enemies, because they can't use their abilities anymore. They just don't have the rage for it. A nice rule of thumb for this. If the fight is simple and under control, just use your lower level healers. If the warrior lost half his health bar or more, shield that guy so you have the time to cast a bigger heal. Warriors will appreciate still moving more than having a full rage bar and not moving at all. So nobody's going to complain in the early dungeons about this, so Rage Fire Chasm is a good place to be aware of this mechanic. If you want to help even more, you can try using a wand for some extra damage. Remember, if an enemy dies, they stop dealing damage, and you won't have to heal more. It's basically conserving your mana on an aggressive standard. But keep in mind that healing also grabs enemies' attention, just like hitting enemies. So if you feel you're starting to get their attention, stop dealing damage. Focus on the healing instead. As a priest, you also have the Fade spell to lower their attention on you. Use it when something is running at you. Now my favorite, the tank. Keep the enemy's attention and mitigate the damage. Don't forget that second part. It's nice that everything is hitting you, but you're the one that's also expected to reduce the amount of incoming damage on yourself, or the healers won't be able to keep up. This is not something that will trouble you in Rage Fire Chasm too much, but if you're unsure about it, just make sure you have a one-handed weapon and a shield equipped. Also, having done your first class quest has provided you with defensive stance, which reduces incoming damage. For keeping their attention, make note of what abilities offer high threat. Threat is what makes enemies decide who to attack. For the warrior at this level, revenge and sunder armor are great. There's also the taunt. A taunt resets an enemy's threat and puts you at the top of them for a very moment. Now this can be resisted, and it has a bit of a cooldown, so you won't keep everyone's attention at once with this. A little tip for noticing who's attacking you as a tank: put yourself at an angle from your friends. That way you can tell things are attacking you because they're looking at you and not your friends. It also helps in the future because some enemies deal damage not to a single target but to everyone in front of it. That's what's called cleaving. Making sure you're the only one in front is a good habit to start early. Now that's a lot as a tank to start off on, so if you're unsure, just queue yourself as a damage dealer instead. Extra credit bonus points as a tank. Same as the damage dealer, interrupting spellcasts mitigates damage and is greatly appreciated. Using Shield Bash when you see something casting would interrupt them. They have a couple seconds before the spell goes off, so you don't have to do it instantly. Those sparing seconds are also seconds that they're not hurting it. Also, keep an eye on your healer's mana. If you start a new fight while that is low, it is considered a social faux pas and can result in death or worse. Trust your healer to let you know when they want a mana break. If they say nothing, you generally can keep going until you see them sit down and drink. Now finally, running a group. For safety, it's best if at least one of the people in the dungeon has a plan for that dungeon. A direction to go into. At this level, the dungeons are straightforward and linear enough you can go in without this though. So just keep going towards where the enemies are and you're probably on the right path. Decide on who pulls the enemies. This is the person calling the shots to keep the fights in control. Usually the tank is the best person for this. If for some reason they forgot to bring their throwing knives or need crowd control somewhere, this can be delegated to somebody with more ranged options. Warrior tanks out there, don't forget to buy and teach yourself how to use throwing knives. It saves you on the long run. Knowledge is power. Reading a quick overview of what bosses are present in a dungeon and what to watch out for keeps you alive better than anything. Now for Ragefire Chasm, you don't really need to do your research. I'll give you some highlights here if you're interested, but you're already ready to go into the dungeon as is. First off, Ragefire Chasm has this guy, Terragaman the Hungerer. He knocks people into the air and deals a lot of damage. Your healer should be using their stronger heals here, and nobody should be near the edge of the fire pit he's standing on. Because fun fact, lava deals flat damage. Touch lava and you'll take enough damage at this level to instantly die. So if Terragaman knocks you off the platform, it's over for you. With the Hungerer, make sure to center him possible and make sure that your friends are not in front of him. His knock-up only hits in front of him. It's not cleave damage, but it is safer for them. There's also this Trog. Make sure to deal with his friends first. Better not risk getting overwhelmed with numbers here. Should have an easy enough job for this. Then there's this orc guy, nothing too special. He wears a dress, he has spells, and he has friends. Again, deal with the friends first, and the spells he casts can be interrupted. And finally, there's this Goatman. Easy enough, doesn't do anything scary, but he can be easy to miss if you don't know of this little walking route here to get him. Just go up the ledge here, be careful not to step into the lava, and you're good to go. Other than that, you can load up on quests that can all be completed in this dungeon, and you should be getting full level from doing this dungeon with its quests once. But you're not here for that. You're here for the real treasure of dungeons. Being around a bunch of goofy people, experiencing the multiplayer part of the MMO life, and having a shared experience. And no amount of pressure or social anxiety should deprive you from that. Let's be honest, this run was far from perfect, and it doesn't need to be. Ragefire Chasm is a great low-stakes entry to dungeons because of that. It's forgiving, and a great place to get into with some friends. If you are on Soulseeker, and you're up for a nice leveling time with helpful people, come join us at We Are Forsaken. Just make sure you're undead and self-found. And a priest! We need more priests. The guild is still young, so you'd be getting in on the ground floor. Besides, most of us die at around level 20, so there's always a party at Gallows End Tavern. Now remember, patience, discipline, and have a lovely day.